Are the Golden Knights trying to move Tomas Hertl to clear space for Mitch Marner? As it appears, VGK is all in on Marner. It's heating up. Free agency only 6 days away. More after this on this edition of Lockdown Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone, from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Of course, I am a longtime sportscaster, marketing consultant, and the host of the Believe in Vegas podcast. Chris, a longtime VGK season ticket holder, the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports, and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Now, coming up ahead on today's show, yes, we'll talk about the Hertl situation. I put down there hurdles because they do have to clear a couple of hurdles to get rid of him. And the center situation without Hertl and also without perhaps William Karlsson. His name reappears. And we've got the Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2025. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Why? Because FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Go to FanDuel.com. So, Chris, the initial report that came out yesterday was from Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects, said that he had heard rumors of VGK sending its center, second liner, Tomas Hertl to Carolina. And then other insiders said that there was no truth to that report. And then later on, David Pagnotta said that he cleared things up perhaps a little bit, said that if you believe that Hertl is untouchable, basically, he is for now, for the moment. Hertl has a no movement clause, but that sort of expires on July the 1st. And now Hertl, starting on July 1, can provide 3 teams that he would accept to be traded to. Leave it to VGK to find a loophole of sorts. Of course, I believe personally that Hertl is as good as gone because there aren't very many proven centers available right now in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, Hertl, looking back at his season, and I think VGK fans, not everybody, but I think a lot of VGK fans took a moment to kind of drag Hertl, which I didn't think was rightfully so, just kind of going through social media saying he wasn't physical and didn't bring physicality and didn't do a lot of things. Like, dude was the second leading scorer for the Golden Knights. Golden Knights power play completely turned around. Why? Because you got a centerman at 55% taking that first face-off, getting that puck possession, getting that net front presence. A lot of people saying Hertl didn't have the physicality. Like, Hertl's never really been that in-your-face type of checking forward. What he is and has been is a puck possession monster. So just start by acknowledging the good that Hertl has brought the Golden Knights. Should this be the end of the road? But I don't, I just didn't like social media kind of handling of Hertl yesterday. Now, that said, as far as a possible deal for Hertl, yeah, I mean, Carolina's looking to make a move. It makes sense. I'd be curious to see what the possible return could be in this circumstance. The Golden Knights could get an asset, could get a draft pick, could get something to improve their standing as far as whatever happens should the Golden Knights get Marner. And you have to wonder, is the Hertl potential trade the end game? Is Marner the end game? Is there another end game? What happens if this trade gets made and Marner doesn't come? I think that's maybe the second, a little more for the second topic, but so many moving parts as we are 6 days now away from free agency.
Hertl, what is the cap space? How much room would he create here? San Jose,
Golden Knights currently
right?
have 9.7 or 9.6. VGK is on the hook for 6.2 of his contract. Thankfully, the San Jose Sharks retained a chunk in that trade.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which is partially what does help his trade value outside. At full bore, I don't think $8 million. I don't think this deal
$8 million. He's not anyone,
but
he's not an $8 million man. Sorry. Again.
He was, but I don't think going forward he is no.
Okay. So do you think that Hertl says, okay, trade me to Carolina, or what happens if he puts down teams that are cap strapped? We don't know what this three teamer will look like, if you will. That would be pretty interesting. Number of teams, that a player can or cannot be traded to varies according to a contract. And so some good digging there by all the insiders. Um, Hurdle's number is three teams that we found out yesterday. And again, it could vary depending on the contract when it comes down to something like this. Pretty interesting, right? It's a loophole for VGK.
It's the get the game within the game and all that when it comes to no trade clauses and things like that. And at the end of the day, and I know there's always more to a situation, but no trade clause, whether they have one or don't, I don't think has a major effect on things. If a player isn't wanted, they don't likely want to be there either. Now, there's always extenuating circumstances. Alex Pietrangelo, very vocal about his family situation. And I don't think there's a world that exists where he would sign off on a no trade clause. And that's the right that he's earned as far as how long he's been in the league. Mitch Marner allegedly, reportedly, however you want to say that, would not waive his no trade clause for a deal with Carolina. I know there's family circumstances there and everything. So we do see that happen from time to time. But at the end of the day, I think if the Golden Knights wish to move on from Hertl, I think Hertl would forget the no trade clause. I think Hertl just simply wouldn't want to be here. Now, if they're trying to send Hertl to a place like Buffalo or something like that, maybe he might pump the brakes, like, "Hey guys, let's fun is not always Buffalo." You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I
So
think I think
yeah,
he selects the three teams though, and
yeah. But at
that's
the
a
end of the
little
day,
quirky.
he can waive it to go anywhere if
Yes, he
if
can waive
agrees. So
that.
that's why
Correct.
I don't put a lot of stock into his no trade situation. Is all I'm trying to say.
Right. So when I look things up, he did have that no trade clause, no movement clause, no movement. And this is a modified no trade clause that he has in his contract, which is pretty interesting. Which again, on July 1st, he picks the three teams. That's the number, I guess, that they agreed upon. And then he decides the three places he would like to go. So I did watch yesterday Nick Kiprios' show, and he mentioned again that if not William Carlson, then Ivan Barbashev is another Vegas forward who could move. It would be funny if VGK says Carlson is off the market, then they come back and they trade him. It is Marner or bust season. No one outside of Jack Eichel is safe in this situation.
Jimmy Murphy, long time NHL guy as well. He was reporting on the circumstances surrounding Mitch Marner, and his quote basically is, "The word is they're going all in for Marner," is what Jimmy Murphy said in
That's what I've
reference to
been
the
saying.
Vegas
That's what
Golden
I said. I
Knights.
didn't know that Jimmy Murphy said that. I said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
no,
you know,
Murphy, but I'm saying Murphy backing that up certainly is helping, or you're the source,
that's going to
Tony,
give
one of
me
the two
credit.
here.
That's going to give me some credibility,
Yeah, I
some
agree. Slow
street
down,
cred.
dude. Easy, dude.
Slow down, slow down."
But point being is, there's been a lot of, and this is a terminology I'm seeing all over social media. I just simply put Hertl in the search and clicked on latest, and smoke surrounding Hertl is a big topic that keeps on popping up and everything. And yeah, I mean, again, what people need to understand is this isn't just simply the rumor mill churning. This isn't simply us playing, NHL 2026, I guess we'd be on right now, trying to put together, a video game type of trade or something like that. This is a reality. McCrimmon definitely wants Mitch Marner and might even be willing to go slightly over whatever the market is right now. We don't technically know the market because an offer can't be presented until July 1st. But likely McCrimmon knows he's going to have to be extremely aggressive. This is not a Moneyball circumstance. I actually just watched that before bed last night. This is not a Moneyball circumstance where, they're looking to make this work with a $38 million payroll or anything like that. They're looking to use every situation, every circumstance, every inch of payroll they can to go all in for Marner or bust. Got a couple of buzzwords in there for you.
Thank you. Pierre LeBrun yesterday said the Marner list now is Vegas, Dallas, LA, Anaheim, Carolina, and Columbus.
Anaheim
And
makes so
is
much
it safe
sense.
to say quickly that VGK will not have the highest bid? I think that's
I think
fair.
it's safe to
No
say, but
doubt.
I don't think that means he's not coming to Vegas either.
Exactly. Coming up next, who would be playing center on the four lines without Hertl or even Carlson? We'll talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Guys, you have probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you are looking for something beyond the usual pill, it is time to meet Rugiet Ready. That's right. Rugiet Ready is the next gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost the blood flow. That's right. And unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and it kicks in fast, on average 15 minutes. And effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. And if traditional options have not worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. So right now, head to rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. Use the promo code LockedOnNHL and you'll get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL. Use the promo code LockedOnNHL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Of course, make sure on Friday that you tune in and leave some comments for WTF Day with the Fridays, Saturdays. Yeah, there'll be a few.
There'll be a few.
Sometimes you get the Chris times Chris Jr. show. That is the YouTube exclusive. But little Chris is a busy bee. He's a social butterfly this time of year, yeah? Playing hockey and getting out there and having fun, doing what
That's
kids
life.
do.
We were at the hockey rink twice yesterday, once in the morning, once in the evening, watching some adult league games, hanging out, and up and down Water Street last night. And oh yeah, busy.
Who's more of a kid, you or Chris Jr.? I think probably you, right?
Yeah, probably. But that's why you have kids, so you can have that excuse.
If VGK parts with Carlson or Hertl, what is the plan for starting centers? What will they do about center depth? So after yesterday, I'm starting to believe again. I think that Hertl is pretty much going to be traded. I'd put that up there on the odds board. Haig, Hertl, anyone, Hannafin, H's, or William Karlsson could be traded, also traded away. Okay, so what would VGK's center depth look like for four lines of Hertl or Karlsson are gone? Would Brett Howden step up and be an everyday center? What about Nick Waugh? How would they set up that strength up the middle, which McCrimmon thought was really solid going into the start of last season?
Yeah, I mean, we know Cassidy likes having 5 or 6 centers in the lineup, 5 or 6 players that have the ability to play that position. I'll start by saying I don't believe there's a path where Karlsson and Hertl are sent packing. Sam Bennett looks like he's going back to Florida, so VGK, I think, can get that wish out of their minds. But, I mean, crap, if they found a way to land Marner and Bennett in the offseason at the expense of Karlsson and Hertl and Barbashev, okay, fine. We'll figure out a way to make that work. But let's start on the Hertl side right now. That's the easier one, I think, if Hertl is traded. Karlsson would center line 2, Nick Waugh line 3, and Brett Howden likely line 4. You could see Howden and Waugh switching up and back, just kind of depending on scoring output and the composition of the line. Brett Howden seems to have transitioned a little bit more into that skill type of role, so I could see Howden competing with Nick Waugh for more of a skill position in the lineup. If you go the other way, if William Karlsson is gone, I think you're still looking at the same basically third and fourth line center scenarios where it's Nick Watt or Barbashev kind of competing for those opportunities right there. I will say if Hertl is the casualty to get Mitch Marner in all this, I don't know how much of a net negative this is going to end up being. People are going to talk about Hertl and what he did on the power play. Well, I'm not a major hockey person, but I'm going to guesstimate that if you add another 100-point player to a line, to a power play unit, they're probably going to be okay having two 100-point players and a Dorofeev out there to snipe and a Mark Stone to work the bumper and a Shea Theodore on the point. I think that
And
power play
Eichel.
one
You
would
forgot
be
about
just fine.
Eichel. I think
I
you
didn't say
forgot
Eichel and all that. Well, okay, I said 200-point players, yeah.
Okay.
So that would be just fine.
Yeah. So outside of Howden, Waugh, who else do they have now for center depth? Cole Schwint,
Ron Bjerg is there if they need to get him in there.
Really? You think you'll put Ron Bjerg at a center position? Yeah.
In a daily position, in a daily.
Kovalev, like if you go into the depths of Henderson and
I don't know if there's anyone in
Uchase,
Henderson willing to take on an everyday centerman role for the Golden Knights.
Well, I'm saying for depth's sake. And then who replaces Howden and Waugh on the wings? How would you
the Golden
play
Knights,
that?
if they pull this off, there would be some free agency money. So you do look at the possibility of some lower end as far as financially, free agents joining the fold. You got people like Lavoie down there. You got Tanner Pearson. We'll see how that shakes out. He's still without a contract, I believe.
Yeah, of course.
So we'll see if he's going to make it to free agency or if that's going to go. But building depth, I don't think is going to be a major concern because you do see some other players kind of stepping up a little bit right now. The bigger issue, obviously, the big fish here, if that's going to wind up happening or not, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting there. And Tanner Pearson would be a good piece. And make no mistake, the top six you would have if it's Marner or bust. You would have Marner either on the top line or the second line to make it even more powerful. And they would play it out like the Oilers do there with McDavid and with Draisaitl. I think that would be pretty interesting there to split those two players up at times and then put them together, power play unit and such. Getting interesting though. There's a lot of heat out there, and someone in Canada had mentioned yesterday that Hertl could be gone. So maybe perhaps over the weekend in theory, and then they make it official on July the 1st, just 6 days away, Chris. It's going to be pretty wild around here. And I think that VGK will again, they are all in. We've said that before now. Somebody else who's an insider. Okay, it's more credible that they said it. But they're definitely all in on Mitch Marner.
No, I think that's a fair perspective. And I think McCrimmon sees the situation. And we talked about this a few different times throughout the offseason leading up to this moment. And is it more of the same for the Golden Knights? Do you continue to build these depth pieces and things like that and put together a fair regular season roster, which is what the Golden Knights had last year, but it was not a good enough postseason roster. Yes, there's injuries and stuff, so what? That's going to happen to everybody. Matty Tkachuk wasn't near healthy coming in. Brad Marchand took a little while to get going down in Florida and everything. So every team has, I don't want to say injury excuse, but that's part of what happens come playoff time. So it feels like McCrimmon has taken the perspective of let's shake this up, let's change things, let's go a little more top heavy. And you do need the luck of your bottom 9 or bottom 6 forwards to come together. And you look at Kolesar, maybe he's knocking on the door of a 12 to 15 goal season. Maybe Brett Howden can back up what he did last season. Nick Waugh can maybe possibly take a step forward on the offensive side. I mean, not a lot needs to happen for the Golden Knights to return to cup contender status should they get Mitch Marner with respect to their depth.
Well, see, I'm not in agreement with you there because to me,
there needs to be luck. There needs to be luck. That's the first thing I said. There needs to be luck.
Okay,
every team needs to have.
So you'll have Eichel, and then you'll have Carlson or Hertl, right, on that second line. Yep. And then you go with Howden and Waugh. But to me, Howden and Waugh, neither one to me are proven everyday centers. That's my concern because they move them around.
Well, Waugh's an everyday center. Waugh's an everyday center, no doubt. Howden's been going up and back, but Nick Waugh, with no doubt, is an everyday center. He's not an
Okay.
everyday scoring center, but he's an everyday
Yeah.
grinder, bottom 9 center, bottom
Yeah.
6 center.
That's a bit of a concern. Coming up next, 5 players are entering the Hockey Hall of Fame. It was announced yesterday. We will tell you who they are, who the new members are when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. So, a fan favorite here in Vegas, San Jose Shark Joe Thornton, among 8 players. There were 8 members in the class, and we're going to talk about the 5 players. And Thornton faced VGK 21 times, 3 goals, 10 assists, 1,104 games, 15 years with the Sharks. Did you see the announcement when they called him? And he was like, he's a cornball, dude. He said, "Holy doodle. I can't believe it. Holy doodle." I've never heard that expression before in my life. A big role, as we know, in game number 7 versus VGK in that cup playoff game where Cody Eakin cross-checked Joe Pavelski, and they rallied from 3-0 down, and he told everyone as soon as Pavelski went down, guys, we have to go out there now on this power play, 5 minutes long. We need to score 3 goals and tie up this game, and he was an inspiration by all accounts.
Joe Thornton's awesome. I mean, I've had some conversations with him when I was covering the team a little more in depth and things like that. And he's just a good hockey dude. And you look at his accolades and everything, 1,500 points, and dude just seemed like he was ageless. There's one sad thing about his career, no Stanley Cup. And that's an unfortunate thing for his legacy. No one deserves a Stanley Cup, but he certainly did everything he personally could have to earn a Stanley Cup. The stars never aligned, unfortunately, but congrats to Jumbo Joe, and it's fun to see how his career continues to grow with the San Jose Sharks as far as on the management side of things.
And then you have Duncan Keith, who you can talk about. 16 years with the Blackhawks, an important piece there for their Cup champions in Chicago.
Conn Smythe winner. Epic victory speech when he got a bunch of his teeth knocked out. He starts off by saying, "Does everyone have a good dentist?" He had 7 teeth knocked out, like right at center ice, right in front of one of the on ice announcers. And I don't know if it was Darren Panger. It might have been Panger. He's like, "Oh, Duncan Keith just lost 7 teeth. They're all over the ice." It's a funny call if you go back there and find that. But 1,256 regular season games, 151 playoff games. Mentioned the Conn Smythe winner, 3-time Stanley Cup winner. Basically, as far as a Golden Knights comparable, I want to say Shea Theodore because of the offensive side, but as far as the skating ability, but with the responsibility of what Braden McNabb brings to the Golden Knights as well. Kind of maybe a hybrid between those two. Not as strong offensively as Theodore, but just awesome player to have as your top defensive pairing, and did go to Edmonton at the end. Wanted to be closer to his family for his final season and everything. But yeah, awesome watching Duncan Keith.
There were actually 6 players, 2 women, Jennifer Botterill and Brianna Decker were in this class. No Carey Price. I was kind of surprised because there was a sort of campaign on his first ball.
Carey Price didn't make first ballots?
Correct. 712 games played. 917 save percentage, 2.51 goals against, 49 shutouts, 7-time All-Star. He won just about every award on the planet, and they definitely did not induct Carey Price.
Yeah, I mean, I know his career didn't end with some. I know there's some personal struggles. I don't know the full details, but I know we'll just leave the personal struggles at the end. But the point being is, I feel like that's almost being held against him right now, and I don't think that's necessarily appropriate. He did, I don't know. looking at his stats, I mean, I don't have comparables for other goalies in the Hall of Fame. I know he didn't win a cup. I know that's of
He's
course
Hall of
gonna.
Fame worthy. He's
I
Hall of
think
Fame
he's Hall
worthy.
of Fame worthy. I can't see how he wouldn't be.
Look at
But
those numbers I just mentioned are
no,
just
917. I'm looking at that and
yeah,
everything.
impressive.
251 goals against. I
Right.
mean,
That's what I
he had
said. Yeah.
934, 933, 927 for 3 straight seasons over 130 games in that. I mean, I don't see how he's not Hall worthy. I mean, he was only sub 900 at the end of his career. He was sub 900 one time, and that was for the last 5 games when he tried to get back in the NHL in 21-22.
One player who has waited very long to get that call is Alexander Mogilny. 16th year of eligibility. My goodness. The first NHL player to defect from the Soviet Union. And he was better than a point per game scorer, 1,000 points in 900 career games.
Stanley
That's
Cup
amazing.
winner. Looks like he was an in-season acquisition by the New Jersey Devils and helped them win a cup in the 1999-2000 season. 1,032 points, 124 playoff games, 86 points. I mean, a lot of boxes are checked as far as Hall of Fame worthy. 990 regular season games, never got to that 1,000 milestone. Maybe that was just something weird, but good on Mogilny to get in there.
Yeah. And then the final player was Zdeno Chara. Chara, the defenseman, Big Z, they call him Zdeno Chara, 25 seasons. Man, that's hard to believe. Defenseman, 7 foot tall on skates. That's always stood out to me. 7 feet tall. And who wants to mess with him? And back in 2012, he still owns the record, Chris, for the hardest shot of 108.8 miles per hour.
He also owns the record for almost killing Max Pacioretty on the ice. Zdeno Chara, I guess, will start here, just famously ran Pacioretty. I don't think it was a dirty hit. It was just basically ran him to that glass that's between where the penalty box begins and the bench ends. And that used to come out. There was always a pad on it, but it came out to a point. And Pacioretty went in there and had to be stretchered off, unfortunately. So that actually led to the Pacioretty glass being created, which now that glass is curved going to the penalty box and coming out of the bench on both sides. But I mean, back to the better side of Zdeno Chara, 1,680 NHL games. That is ridiculous. 680 points, 200 playoff games, just one Stanley Cup in there. And I was trying to find the story real fast, but I read the story maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago now, where Chara actually presented some type of script or something to his coach where he could be out there for a full 60-minute game and never come to the bench. And the dude is an absolute freak, so much fun to watch. And you saw near the end of his career, he was kind of Ivan Drago, kind of getting a little bit worn out in the late rounds maybe. But yeah, I mean, Zdeno Chara at full value was just one of the meanest, toughest people in the world to play against. And it was always fun watching games with him. And I got to watch the Blackhawks and the Bruins face off, of course, in the Stanley Cup final. So got to keep a close eye on Chara for a full series. And they wore him down. That's how you beat him. But he's not the type of player that wears down easily.
Best known as a Bruin. Like, would he go in as a Bruin?
I mean, Chara?
Yeah.
Well, considering he played 680 NHL games and 110 of them, and then about 200 of them were with Ottawa and the Islanders. But yeah, he's a Bruin.
He's a Bruin. He's
a Bruin.
He doesn't want to have any connection to those other teams.
He went back to the Islanders after. That's where his career started.
Pretty interesting. We're finding out more just off the record, off the line here.
Off the record.
Kyprios, I'm used to saying that all the time. Kyprios yesterday said the injury to Alex Pietrangelo, from what he hears, is a really bad hip injury. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I think doesn't heal easily. Similar things.
It's off the record. No one else will know here. No one else is watching the show. Yes, exactly. We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. We definitely rely on you each and every day tuning in around the world. We thank you so much. Of course, Friday we have WTF Day. Saturdays, sometimes it's the Chris Jr. show.
He wants to do one. We got to get back to it. We say that time. He wants to do one, though.
Do one from the rink. Who cares? Please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. From my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And please take care.